They called him the Merchant of Death long before he was gone. A man whose inventions could tear through mountains and reshape the earth, Alfred Nobel lived in the shadow of both admiration and fear. Born on October 21, 1833, in Stockholm, Sweden, Nobel would wield immense power through his creations, but it was his conscience, not just his genius, that would define his legacy. From the dazzling promise of science to the haunting weight of destruction, his life was a relentless quest to balance human ingenuity with human responsibility. Alfred Bernard Nobel was born into a family of inventors and thinkers. His father, Emmanuel Nobel, was a mechanical engineer and inventor, and his mother, Henriette Alsel, came from a prosperous family. Despite the early financial struggles, the Nobels were committed to providing their children with an exceptional education. Alfred, displaying extraordinary intelligence from a young age, was fluent in 6 languages by his teenage years. He had an insatiable curiosity, delving into literature, chemistry, and the mechanics of machines. Encouraged by his father, Alfred experimented constantly, pushing the boundaries of what was possible. In 1842, when Alfred was 9, his father moved the family to St. Petersburg, Russia, seeking better business opportunities. This relocation exposed Alfred to a broader cultural and intellectual environment where he received private tutoring and access to scientific knowledge far beyond the average young student's reach. The blend of rigorous study and practical experimentation would define his early years, cultivating a mind capable of both meticulous calculation and visionary thinking. But life was not without tragedy. In 1864, a catastrophic explosion at his father's factory killed Alfred's younger brother Emil. The loss devastated the family and left a profound mark on Alfred. It also ignited a determination in him to create explosives that were safer and more controllable. He began to think deeply about the duality of invention. The same scientific breakthrough that could advance humanity could also bring destruction if misused. This contemplation led to one of Nobel's most famous achievements. Nitroglycerin, an explosive discovered decades earlier, was extraordinarily powerful but dangerously unstable. Accidental detonations were frequent and deadly. Nobel dedicated years of his life to finding a way to stabilize this volatile substance. His solution was to absorb nitroglycerin into a porous, inert material, creating a safer and more practical explosive, dynamite. Patented in 1867, dynamite transformed construction, mining, and engineering, enabling feats that had previously been impossible. Mountains could be leveled, tunnels carved, and railways built with unprecedented speed and efficiency. Yet, as Nobel was keenly aware, his invention could also be used for war, a reality that troubled him deeply. Despite his immense wealth from dynamite and other inventions, Alfred remained a private, introspective man. He traveled widely, overseeing factories and laboratories across Europe and the United States, and cultivating relationships with scientists, writers, and thinkers. He wrote poetry and plays, reflecting on morality, human progress, and the consequences of his work. Alfred's life was a constant negotiation between the potential for creation and the potential for destruction, between wealth and responsibility, between invention and conscience. In 1888, a moment of startling clarity came when a French newspaper mistakenly published Alfred's obituary after the death of his brother, Ludwig. The headline read, "The Merchant of Death is dead," condemning him for profiting from explosives used in warfare. Reading the article shocked Nobel and forced him to confront the legacy he would leave behind. He realized that despite his contributions to science and industry, history might remember him only as a man whose inventions caused death and destruction. The experience weighed heavily on him, prompting deep reflection on how he could reshape his reputation and make a lasting positive impact. Motivated by this realization, Alfred Nobel took action. In 1895, just a year before his death, he drafted a will that would ensure his wealth served a higher purpose. He allocated the majority of his fortune to establish the Nobel Prizes, intended to reward those who, in the preceding year, had conferred the greatest benefit to humanity. The prizes would cover physics, chemistry, medicine, literature, and peace. Through this vision, Nobel sought to counterbalance the destructive potential of his inventions, to celebrate human ingenuity, and to inspire progress that improved the human condition. Alfred Nobel died on December 10, 1896, in San Remo, Italy, at the age of 63. His estate, totaling over 31 million Swedish kroner, a massive fortune at the time, was used to fund the Nobel Prizes. Despite legal challenges from his relatives, the prizes were successfully established in 1901, honoring scientists, writers, and peacemakers whose work had profound global impact. Over the years, the Nobel Prizes have become some of the most prestigious awards in the world, recognizing excellence, innovation, and the pursuit of peace, reflecting the ideals Alfred Nobel had envisioned. Alfred Nobel's life was defined by contrasts. He was an inventor whose work could destroy mountains, and yet also built a legacy that celebrated humanity's highest achievements. He was a man who amassed great wealth, but sought to redirect it for the benefit of others. He grappled with the ethical implications of his inventions, proving that true genius is inseparable from conscience. His story is not just one of science and invention. It is a story of reflection, responsibility, and the power to shape one's own legacy. In the end, Alfred Nobel reminds us that human achievement carries both promise and peril. While he created one of the most powerful explosives in history, he also created a mechanism to honor and encourage progress, innovation, and peace. His life teaches a lesson that resonates to this day. The true measure of a person lies not only in what they create, but in how they use their influence and wealth to leave the world a better place. From the shadow of the Merchant of Death to the enduring glow of the Nobel Prizes, Alfred Nobel's life stands as a testament to human potential, conscience, and the power of transformation.